Did you just cut and finish with a rotary?
Yes.
This Kia has deep scratches and swirls. I've got my sandpaper. I've got my sanding block. It's time to hammer down.
Hi, I'm Ivan.
I'm Nick.
This is DIY Detail. Today, we're not going to sand this Kia. Introducing our new rotary. Yes, rotary cutting pad.
We've never taught you to cut with a rotary before. Our friend Jason Kilmer gave me the sanding block. It does say hammer down on it, but we're not going to be sanding today.
No.
Ivan, we are switching it up a little bit. Tell us why we are cutting with a rotary after years of saying you cut with a DA.
Well, actually, the DA is still the better tool, but many of you have chosen to purchase our rotary as the only tool you have, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But you've asked, I want to cut just a little bit more. So back to the lab I went, back to R&D, and we've developed a rotary cutting pad that is as safe as our other cutting pad that is meant for the 25mm DA.
We kind of like talk about the rotary a lot. I'm not going to take credit for it, but I will say we kind of helped make the rotary cool again. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm just saying it feels like the number of rotaries we've sold, I would have to make some kind of statistical argument saying people like the rotary. Anyway, they have started to ask us, like, I've got the dang machine, you know, you convinced me to buy it for finishing. Can I use it to cut too, right? And that was part of the R&D process?
Yes, that's part of the R&D process. And from there, we wanted to make a pad that was A, long-lasting, B, safe, and finally, leaves a good finish. No, you're not gonna finish with this pad, but you're not gonna have a lot of steps after this to give you the gloss and shine that you want. A lot of rotary cutting pads for wool end up scratching the surface as much as they end up fixing it. In other words, you've got deep swirl marks that are difficult to remove, and you might need to do 2 steps to get those out of there. With this, we don't have that worry.
Why don't you show us how it works, and then explain some of the characteristics that once we see the finish afterwards, we'll be like, oh yeah, it really doesn't leave that nasty haze that you mentioned.
Yeah.
But people want to see that first, I think.
So on this hood, even without the light, we can see the swirls.
They're obvious. They scream
obvious,
at you from many feet away.
And let's make them scream just a little bit more.
So everywhere you look, even as a casual observer, you're gonna say, oof, this paint is kind of nasty, right? You don't have to be a detailer right up here with the light to see it. It's indirect sunlight. John, Karen, anyone who owns this car will just see this and it'll be a visual distraction.
Exactly, a visual distraction and one that is like, ugh, that's not nice. We start off by dampening the pad. We always work with a damp pad. So let me get a number of sprays in there. I want to get a little more to begin with.
And for folks who may not know, that is DIY Detail rinseless wash diluted 256 to 1, 1 capful per gallon, 4 milliliters to a liter. Ivan, what are the other dilutions of rinseless wash?
Half an ounce to a gallon, 1 ounce to 2 gallons, however you want to look at it. Now, run it against the pad washer, bring it up to speed 6. And as is the tradition around here, 1 spray of the gold standard.
But surely if you want to cut more, you would use 2 sprays, Ivan.
No, you wouldn't. More is not always better.
So the same principles that you've always come to know and love with DIY Detail Gold Standard Polishing System applies. Now, does that mean speed 1 on the rotary? Speed 1. 6? Okay, speed 1. Okay.
Speed 1, no pressure. So just like with our foam pad,
I've got towels for you, Ivan.
yeah, thank you. Then a rinseless dampened towel, and Nick's version of damp and mine are a little different.
Wait, if there's more product, it's better, right?
No. So rinseless dampened towel.
Okay. And why is that?
We lightly go over the surface. This will start emulsifying and breaking down that polish residue.
But why not have a dripping rinseless towel?
I don't like doing excessive work. More liquid on the surface means more liquid you have to take off.
I mean, from here it looks really good, Ivan.
Yeah, from there it looks really good. Now the surface is a little hazy looking, and that's normal. And we have the swirls. So if you see the light, those lines, that's the haziness in the swirls. We need to get rid of that. That is where we take our red rotary jeweling pad and finish this little section off. So let me do that. So we can show our test spot.
So as you go, Ivan, do you prefer to wool the whole car and then come back with your second step? Or do
Yes.
you do, okay, I'm gonna switch pads after every section pass?
No,
Just for
switching
demo.
pads is not good for your tool, not good for the pads, not good for you either. You want to break up your polishing a little bit. So we'll do the rotary with the wool, we'll come back, do this, and as we're doing the finishing step, we'll also wipe it off, or at least I will. Nick doesn't, but I'll wipe it off from there. Now, we want to get rid of those swirls, we want to bring up the gloss. Speed 1. I've got the same very, hard grip on the machine using 3 fingers. Because the rotary is hard to control. It takes skill to master this. Two fingers wasn't enough.
Sometimes it slips out of your fingers, you catch it. It takes a very slight tweak, doesn't it? What is your goal with the pad here?
All I'm doing is glossing the surface. Our rotary wool cutting pad is aggressive, but at the same time leaves, for a wool cutting pad, actually a very smooth, nice surface.
I mean, from here, I was looking at it. I didn't see the haze you were talking about.
No.
I just saw defect-free. I was like, I wonder if you could just send this as a one-step. Now,
On
you
a
don't
silver
want-
or a white car, you probably could.
Yeah. But is the wool, I mean, because we say that the rotary doesn't cause holograms, the person does.
Right.
Is that only with the waffle? I mean, does the wool, by its definition, cause holograms?
Yes, because of the aggressiveness.
Holy cow. From here, Ivan? Did you just cut and finish with a rotary?
Yes. I've been doing it for decades, Nick. So here we can see where we have done and where we haven't. And from over there, Nick, probably looks spectacular.
No, it looks insane.
Yeah.
I see swirls and scratches, and from here, basically nothing except for just insane gloss.
Yeah.
And we're not promising perfection with this method. Even
No.
with more cut, we're offering a solution to cut with your rotary. We're not saying, okay, now we're going to change our entire system and you're going to go after every little scratch and remove precious clear coat.
No, we're not trying to remove precious clear coat. We're just trying to use and work with the clear coat that's there to make sure that it's good.
I mean, it just occurred to me that this is a very different experience than most people have had if they've never
Right.
used a rotary before. What are some technique suggestions from you? What should you watch out for? Because to me, this feels a little more advanced than the dual action that we teach for cutting.
Not necessarily more advanced, you just have to have a slightly different mindset.
Okay.
You have to be able to read your polisher a little more, meaning
Yes.
that if it starts to be grabby, stop. Right there, wash your pad, reload. Because if it starts getting grabby, your pad is slightly drying out
Yes.
and you're accumulating clear coat off the surface. That's what caused it to be grabby.
I'm always looking at my polisher pattern no matter what I do.
Yeah.
When you're cutting with the rotary, once you lose kind of that oily, lubricated, polished look on the surface. If it starts to get grabby, like Ivan said, I'm looking visually, but also how it feels.
Yeah.
Listen to that. Listen to your eyes, I guess you could say. Just pay attention and react accordingly. Don't try to get this. I started here. I'm like, oh, I think I can kind of let this run, let this rock and roll a little bit longer. As it started to get thinner, grabbier, a little bit less full in the patterns, I was like, okay, time to clean my pad.
Exactly. The other thing is no pressure on the machine. You've seen some people with the rotary doing this. You're only using a very small portion of the pad when you're doing that. Why not use the whole pad? Instead, you get much better cut. People think that when they're putting pressure, when they're holding the machine and contorting themselves and doing all sorts of things, that they're working harder. Therefore, if they're working harder, the tool must be doing a better job. Couldn't be further from the truth. The less you work, the more the tool will work for you. So allow the machine to do its job. You'll notice I was using one hand. It's not difficult. You shouldn't need to manhandle the tool. It should be smooth, it should be effortless. And if it's not effortless, take a look at how you're doing it. Maybe set up a camera, your smartphone, whatever. Just take a short film of you polishing and you'll see that, oh, you were bent over, or you had one shoulder all jacked up the way you're holding it. Calm down, take a breath, let the machine do the work. These two pillars, as you can see, are very equally scratched up. I've lifted the doorway just to not touch this one. Let me show you the results with the rotary and the wool pad. And we'll come back later with the red jeweling pad. But already I think we made a bit of a dent in it.
Ivan, to me, rotary polishing is kind of like driving with a manual or stick shift. It forces me to be a little more engaged.
Yes.
I can't be drinking a Coke, texting a friend, like you would never want to do that behind the wheel, but sometimes it gets tempting to da-da-da. No, you're fully engaged, I got a stick shift, I got to drive, right? This is the same thing for the rotary, and maybe it's not for you, but with a wool pad when I'm cutting, I'm very vigilant, I'm watching the paint, I'm making sure I don't stay anywhere for too long, I don't want to heat the paint up. How much of that is what you experience, and what advice would you have for folks who may not have a lot of experience with a rotary and like they don't even know what I'm talking about?
So Nick is slightly overthinking it.
Okay.
Again, the 25mm DA with the wool pad is more aggressive than this is. Just because you're using a rotary, you have that misconception that it's more dangerous. It isn't.
So speed 1 is your safe place here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
And just keep your pad lubricated, right? Keep that polish on the surface. Okay.
On this door, we have some very pronounced curves. We have a nice sharp angle here. All things that you can easily do with the rotary. A curve, think of it as a valley instead. So with my pad, I'm gonna do half of the valley. So you can see I've got polish residue up to here. Let me continue there just so you see how high up I've got the polish residue. And then I'm treating the other side like this. You can see how far down the pad has gone here. So we don't need to try to get inside there when you can't. Now, if there's an area where you can't do the getting in the valley part, Then you match the curve of the polisher to the curve of the panel. And you don't want to go up too much on end. Try to go on an angle and just angle it up just the slightest bit. Trying to maintain as much contact as possible with the panel that you can. Sharp edges like this, don't go along the edge, go off the edge both ways. Very easy to do. It's really that simple. When your pad starts getting dry, few sprays of the rinse and swash, and yes, I'm putting more on than I normally would because of the thickness of the wool. And if your pad is starting to get clumped, because this can happen with the long wool, stand it back up, all the fibers, then add a little more rinse and swash, then bring it to your pad wash. That'll clean it out a little more. As always, one spray of polish.
Ivan, there are times where I just feel like I have more control with the 6-inch pad, like on this mirror, to slightly tilt it. I'd wonder what your thoughts are, because I feel like you're the anti-tilting police. But what I love about Rotary is like I can kind of tilt it on curves. And I know you say to polish on a peak and then in a valley and then just like work it like that with the DA. What are your thoughts on slightly tilting depending on the situation, especially if it feels like you have more control with the Rotary?
Slight tilt isn't bad.
Okay.
It's when people are doing this, you know, like a plane trying to take off. No.
Yeah.
But just lifting up maybe an 1/8 of an inch on one side, like around here. There's a lot of different curves and angles around the front end of this vehicle. Just like I do with the DA, I'll be able to get into all of these curves and angles. I don't need a 3-inch pad. I don't need a special tool. I'll be able to get all of this without a problem.
Ivan, as you polish, I had a question.
Yeah.
Are we going about, and don't mind the GoPro on my chest, I'll probably take this off shortly, but if you see it, you know, we're doing this for the people. Hopefully this footage works. If it doesn't, we won't show it. I wanted to ask, am I just doing a kiss or two with the Rotary, or am I doing 3 full passes? What is the strategy as we use this pad with polish residue still on the surface from our Rotary cutting stage?
Great question. Do a small section, wipe it off after doing 2 passes to see if it's okay. If you need to do more, you do more. Again, the wool on the Rotary causes a bit of scarring. With that little bit of scarring, we want to make sure we're removing that scarring. That's what the second pass is for. So if you inspect it, it looks good after 2 passes, you know you can do the rest of the vehicle that way.
If you had to hypothetically say what was going to happen, could I work a large section with my jeweling pad?
Yes.
Or am I working 2x2 cleaning, 2x2 cleaning?
Larger section, when it starts getting dry, that's when you clean. The pass with the jeweling pad on the beak here. I think you'll be able to see the difference on camera, what's been done and what hasn't been done. Sometimes the camera doesn't show everything, but I think this one's a little obvious.
Who would be a good candidate for a cutting with the wool on Rotary kind of approach?
Someone who doesn't have a DA.
Are you more of a professional if you can use a Rotary from start to finish, Ivan?
Not at all. There's a lot of hobbyists that are very good at detailing, that are sometimes, well, not sometimes, many times better than professionals. Just because they don't make their living at it doesn't mean they're not good at it. Couple little sprays of NV ceramic sealant to finish off the job.
While the surface is still slightly damp with the rinse and wash dampened towel.
Correct.
I can see it from here, Mr. LaCroix.
Yeah.
It's a shimmering glow. Why is it that I always feel there's more shine when I cut with a Rotary? Is it not even that? Is it just that associate that with my early days because I never finished with a rotary.
Yeah.
Is it just the rotary in general?
Yeah,
or is it cutting with the rotary?
The finishing with the rotary is what gives you more shine. The cutting with the rotary actually gives you less shine because you're scarring the surface more than you are with the DA.
Ivan, it is silly how good this paint looks.
Yeah, it has really, really improved.
Well, it's wild because we didn't achieve perfection,
No.
but the transformation is nothing short of stunning, and I'm not just saying that. Like, this...
It was gray before.
It looks really good.
Yeah, it was charcoal before, now it's black. So that's exactly what we wanted. If you have any questions about finishing with the rotary or cutting with the rotary, we're here to answer those questions down below. But if there's one about really glossing up a supercar paint with the rotary, here's a video you might want to watch.